Shalom, good morning. And I want to get out a quick video. I'm triggered this morning. I should just tell you flat out. I don't know if this video is going to be a success or not, but hey, I'm just human. But I get a lot of videos sent to me, friends and people, send me videos. Oh, I got to watch this. And so one was sent to me and I did click it because the title looked interesting. And I was blown away. And that's why I'm just done. I am done with ignorance. People, we are being played so majorly. My people are destroyed for lack of knowledge. That word knowledge, look it up in the Hebrew. It's a word. It's dot knowledge. It's a synthesis of understanding that will come to you when you get the principal thing, as our Torah says, which is wisdom and understanding. Trust me, people, if you don't learn how to read the tree of life that you've been grafted back into pretty soon, you are going to be left in the dust. There's been plenty of time for people to get up to speed, but it's people like in this video. Now look at great people of God who are doing a work for Elohim in their category. I'm not judging anybody, but I'm telling you, it was a video out of Sid Roth, who, has done a lot to help bridge the Jewish, the Torah Christian world, okay? And this woman who just wrote a book on her experiences. Okay, now I'm not saying her experiences are invalid. Listen, people, I was a Christian for 35 years. And I did see miracles. And I did see just incredible works of Elohim in my life and the life of others, okay, as a Christian. But we're going into war, people, with principalities and powers that the likes of which have not hit our planet again since the days of Noah, before in the days of Noah. Okay, this is not a game. And all of this information, how we're going to win this war, is in the tree of life. It's a tree of life. Hi, how are we going to win and inherit eternal life? Okay, so what she basically was saying is that Kabbalah is this so evil and wicked and demonic, and I'm so done with this, people. Let me tell you a little secret right now, okay? Secret means sewed, means exactly what it is. It's secret, it's hidden. It's a little deeper understanding. Christian, I bet you don't even know that the word is the Hebrew letters. This is the DNA of creation. It's not all your 60 million different translations with all the schisms that we have. That's not the word. That's not producing the fruit that the word of Elohim. The word is this. And the name, okay, which is the complete totality of everything that Yahweh Elohim is, the tetragrammaton, is Yod, Hey, Vav, Hey, which are Hebrew letters. It's not Jesus with a J. Now, I'm not going to go into all that because as a Christian, I received tremendous healing, deliverance from the name of Jesus, which shows you how powerful this is, even in my complete ignorance. Okay, but I'm preparing myself, and I hope you are too, getting oil in your lamp from all out galactic war at the end of the age. Okay, where simple little prayers are not going to cut it. And I'm only saying that for your own good. So here this woman, because of a certain set of circumstances, which is really a part, we're all just a part of one big whole, judges the whole. Okay, that's what we got to stop doing. We know in part, we prophesy. Even I know in part. And the Bible, I'll tell you what I know. Okay. And I'm so done with that. Look at in the hay. This is a hay, a little elongated there. Okay. The fifth letter. Aleph, Bet, Gimel, Dalet, Hay. There's this little extension here. You think that's just arbitrary, just a little scribble some scribe kept making over and over? You don't understand what he's doing? This is where evil is. Yahweh says, I created, bara, create evil. That's what he says. And it's not the totality. There's a part of evil. There's a place for evil to play in the total picture. And when Yeshua says, you need to be wise as serpents, but harmless as doves. Listen, he was saying, you can know evil. You got to know your enemy. So all these people that think of color, it's got everything in it. The tree of life is 2/3 all the good stuff. But let me tell you what, the 1/3 of the wicked fallen angels, it's in there. And yes, people go in and they exploit it for their own evil motivations, and they will be judged very harshly. But you do not judge the totality of what Elohim has given us by the experience of this. I don't want to give the story. I don't want to get diverse of her personal experience. Okay. Well, I'm going to give you, and I'm going to show you from the Torah, from the sages, from our tradition. Do you know what tradition means? This is what Kabbalah means. It means a handed down tradition. And I am done with everybody misconstruing what that really means. And I will show you from the inside out what's really going on. Okay. So if you're done with being a child in the kingdom of Elohim, and if you're done with just feasting on the milk, which you think is so great, and want the meat of the word, okay, meat, which is for adults with teeth, something that you can chew on, you can meditate, you can really dissect that. You know what, how many sinews and how the stuff that holds meat together, it's not a liquid, okay? It takes a lot of processing to get at it. And I'm done with people thinking that the word of God is just some superfluous little thing like, Jesus loves me, that I know. And that's the total extent that you have to offer, which in one sense, this is why is the totality. Yes, God is love, he's mercy. So no matter where you are in this thing, if you keep your mouth from Lashon Hara or from speaking non-truth, yes, he will have great kindness on you and it will go well with you. But trust me, if you start getting out of your lane and start talking about stuff that you really don't know, and you get into that Lashon Hara category, which is bad mouthing, not only Hashem, you would be bad mouthing the prophet, starting with Moshe, the greatest prophet of all time. Okay. You would be Yeshua, who is the prophet. Okay. I mean, you have to understand the seriousness of this thing. So enough of that. Oh my gosh, I'm so sorry. I'm in a hurry because I want to go to my Passover gathering today. So I'm going to screen share this. Let me go here. Okay, let's just read it. And before I do anything, let me tell you why the enemy fights so hard against this. I'm going to go to let's put this on slideshow so it gets bigger. See if I can. Okay, see a little thing in orange. Because of this work, because of the Zohar, this is why the enemy fights so hard against it. Because of this work, the book of the Zohar, the children of Israel, all Israel, Judah, all Israel will be redeemed from exile. So that's how high the stakes are. Okay, so why do you think the enemy? Because it gives him no place to hide. All of the gig is up when you truly become knowledgeable at this level. Okay, all right, so let me go here. Okay, I don't know if that's where I want to go. Okay, now what it is, Jewish Kabbalah. Yes, there are occultic Freemason people who use it and abuse it. But look, I don't have time to chase them down per se. That's Yahweh's job. And he is chasing them down. He is going to bring them to judgment and to justice. Okay. But Jewish Kabbalah. And let me tell you something, people, it's the house of Judah that has this. This is their pearl of great price. Okay. This is what they've kept in the house for us, for all of humanity at the end of the age. So Jewish Kabbalah is the science of Elohim, of God. Now it is a science, believe me, it is not just the science of the secularists where they cut off, they think everything is organic. There's no soul in people. There's no spirit level of people where we can connect with the divine. So I'm done with all you seculars. You're just liars and naysayers, and you're just blind and clueless, and you're just promulgating your worldview, which is going to get you in a lot of trouble at the judgment. So that's what's said. But it is a science that uses in geometry, sound, and number to link the finite world of human experience with the infinite realm of the divine. In other words, as Betziel was said, you know, as above, so below. He was so connected to how the spiritual world works, the worlds we can't see, but we know are there. If you're a child of God, you know that spirit is real, that spirit. So we don't even have to discuss that, right? So it says, and let me show you this. It says that let there be light. That's the first thing. Yahweh spoke. All right. And there was light. See, divine speech is, and then I have to keep moving. this, made up of spiritual sounds, frequencies, and vibrations, which give rise to physical matter, which in turn concentrate into matter. This is something modern science is finally figuring out and telling us. This is how the world works. You know what? You are what you think. Oh, science, you think you just discovered that? That is the ancient wisdom that God gave all of humanity and said, look it, there's rules to this game. There's the way you treat each other, and there's the way you think about yourself, your fellow man, and about me. That's why you would think the first commandment, those who, you're to love the Lord your God with all of your heart, your mind, your soul, and your strength. Those are the four levels of our total persona that Yahweh created. And you're to love your neighbor as yourself. What's hard to understand? All right. Now, we know this even from the modern concept of cymatics that they discovered, that sound actually does make three-dimensional worlds. And I'm sure other frequencies, higher frequencies, are making spiritual worlds. Okay. Now I'm going to give you some apologetics. Well, let me just make this last point. Because what the Torah is telling us is how to rise ourselves up to such a level that, number one, we're above the fallen angels. Always. We are in a realm where Yahweh says, I will bless you, I will keep you, and I will preserve you through whatever the other side, quote unquote, has to throw at you. So while they were doing their work, this is in the first temple where the tabernacle in the wilderness, and we know the story. They said, that the people were all turned into these master craftsmen. All of a sudden, they're building all these artifacts for the tabernacle, right? And they're getting this blueprint of that as it is in heaven, so it is below. And they're having mediators kind of translate this, like the translators, like Betziel was a translator. He could take the words, he knew the numbers, he knew what they were creating in matter, and he was showing it to the people. Okay, this is what the menorah is supposed to look like. Okay, but how did they do that? And why did they do that? The important thing is, if you take away nothing else, is to understand that all the craftsmen did the same thing. They connected their work to holiness. And when the work was brought to its place, it was elevated and received holiness. Dedicating action to a purpose connects the action to its purpose and becomes one with it. That's why the Torah says, look, just don't do ritual sacrifices for me and not connect your heart to me, because it's not going to work. The system is such, it filters out what your mind thinks, what your heart feels about the situation, and what you actually do. It's a complete link up. You can't separate it, all right? So this is what Yahweh's always been trying to teach us. And how the Torah, how to be clean in your body, your soul, and your spirit, or your body, in your emotional life, or in your mind, so that you have sound doctrine, you have pure emotions of love and worship for the Father, and you take care of your temple, your tabernacle, which we're not doing a very good job of today. So my next slide here, let's just go into this. Now, these are all quotes from the rabbis, the sages, who have kept this for us. Okay, I don't want to go into the two houses. I don't have time to give this whole backdrop of how we need to understand and to respect and to come under the covering, so to speak. And I'm not talking about a hierarchical, way, but the sages study at this level, which is called PaRDeS. That is what the tree of life is. This is another name for the tree of life. People, this isn't a literal tree. It's not like these circles. This is a way of understanding our Torah so that it can be understood by a child, or it can be understood by the greatest mind on the planet, who in turn wants to bring forth some of the greatest inventions for the help of all mankind, because this is very, very, very high level spiritual technology. Okay? Pshat, Remez, Drash, and So, those are, see, this is how it makes up this word, PaRDeS, which means garden. Adam was in the garden with God. He's not in a literal garden. We're told over and over, the Yahweh Spirit. There's no physicality up there. He was in this place of PaRDeS where he could understand the most obvious parts and the most deep and sublime. He was able to talk telegraphically to the Father on some of the greatest things that the Father had done. Like, he had created all of this, and Adam had to name the animals, and he had to understand. And so we need to just up our game and understand the spiritual realities that these words that are used, that are physical words that get painted, are used. That's part of the whole thing. That's called the keys to the kingdom. So Yeshua taught his disciples. So he said, and I came out with great power and authority because they understood. So there's the simple meaning, the homiletical meaning. There's the secrets of Torah, which is for the mature. Okay, you don't teach a little child, you know, all about the boogeyman, the fallen angels in the closet. I mean, come on, you need the kid to grow up and get a rooted foundation of character and trust and father. And all right. Oh, the enemy comes out and boom, right from the start, starts traumatizing little babies, 2 and 3 and 4. You know, so they're just totally wrecked for life. Okay, that's not the way the Father works. He gives us a loving, solid foundation in which to grow up into him in all things. And you better start growing. And if you keep bad-mouthing the Zohar, okay? Now, I don't want to, so anyways, I just want to establish that. But it says if you don't understand this level of Torah, how it's written, you're missing the mitzvah of Talmud Torah, which is great and is equivalent to all other mitzvahs in the Torah. And this person has to reincarnate until he occupies himself with the 4 levels of parts. Because, and I hope I didn't shock everyone that yes, there is a Gilgal going on. Our souls do recycle. I don't mean cycle through until we get it right. That's a mercy from the Father, okay? And it's what the early believers believed. It's all over the early church history writings. It's in the Kabbalah. It is in the Torah. It is in the Essenes believed. I don't want to go into all the defenses for this. The Pharisees believed it, okay? The only people who really didn't buy into that concept were the bought and sold Sadducees, who to them it was all about power and authority and you know, in this world, okay? But so what it's saying is, and I know it has words in here like Talmud and, you know, these things, look at, you don't even, the only way to understand these discussion levels that the Torah sages are having, that's what the Talmud is, they're recording all of these deep, deep discussions on the levels of Elohim and how and now as a Jew who has retained this level, how we helping the people to walk in it, like it's to stay connected to the spiritual reality so you can receive the benefits. Now, it is possible to say that this is the intention of the verse. The hidden things belong to Hashem, our Elohim, to Hashem, our God, which are the secrets of the Torah, okay? And their secrets doesn't mean that you can't know them. It doesn't mean that there's some Gnostic high level. No, anybody, but you have to apply yourself. Okay, anybody can become a physicist or anybody can learn calculus, but you have to apply yourself. You have to learn precept by precept, all the stages, you know, everything that you need to know in order to fluently, effortlessly flow in that level of understanding, okay? So the revealed parts, which are the pashat of the Torah, the revealed parts, meaning the obvious meaning. Yeah, there's a city called Jerusalem, but Jerusalem has 70 names in Torah. Did you know that? There are 70 different epithet names for the city of Jerusalem, and we really only operate on one of them. Zion being the biggest cousin, you know, you have Zion in Jerusalem, okay? But who knew, all right? Well, the Torah, the Zohar knows, and we'll teach you all this, all right? So it was all given to us and to our sons forever. This is a covenant for you, Ephraim, my Christian. This is something we need to come back into, and the enemy is totally fighting against it with all his, you know, heresy, towards Yahweh's hidden and revealed knowledge to us. And so it says, I get mixed up. I'm trying to read this and then I come into commentary, and I'm sorry. So this knowledge is given to all of us, and anyone can apply themselves and receive at this level. Okay, I'm saying, but this is what happens. Stupid people, or people who, it'd be like me trying to walk into a professor's class at MIT where he is teaching them astrophysics or something, and like, oh, I know, you know, and giving some ridiculous, I have no business being in that classroom. I have nothing to offer them at that level. Okay, be humble. This one, be ye humble. Okay, and acknowledge your level. That's all, just acknowledge it. And then the Father can deal with you. But if you're arrogant and proud and you think you know everything and you have never ever opened up one page of the Zohar to see if such a thing were true, what all these people are saying. I mean, I'm just really, because I cannot believe that Sid Roth, who should know better, allowed this woman to come on and spew her garbage in this category, because everything she said was a lie in terms of what is truly going on in the knowledge base that is kept in Torah. It is not so people can become magicians and that we're all sorcerers and warlocks and what. That is not at all, but it will chronicle. It will tell you who these people are, from where they operate, and how to break their power. Okay, do you think the enemy wants that really coming out? Okay, so to do all the things of this Torah, the word all is to include more than the statement, for the Torah is not called complete until it will be complete with its 4 parts called parts. In other words, it says, that's why it says, see, this is why that at the end of the age, all knowledge will come out. All the hidden things will come to the light. It's telling you, everyone who is called by his name, Yod-Heh-Vav-Heh, it's called. So if you don't know, I hope you get to this level of understanding, because this the whole world will be without excuse, because this level of knowledge is going to come out, and it's going to be presented in a simple enough way and in an empirical way that you just can't argue with it. All right, that's what it says when it's going to crush you. Okay, so that if you deny God at this level, it's on you. He's not hidden anymore. All right, he's not going to be the hidden God anymore at the end. So it says, and again, it's reiterating here that this is all called PaRDeS, which is initials. It's an acronym for this concept of the Peshat, the Remez, the Drosh. Now, I have a YouTube channel that goes into a lot of this stuff. And there's a lot of people that have this level of understanding, but I have playlists on this, and, you know, elementary beginning videos on the Tree of Life. And now I have a paid subscription channel just to give a look on the Tree of Life, which I will be continuing to teach until Adonai comes back, or Adonai shuts my mouth somehow, whatever. And this is what I'm going to do. And I am going to come against the naysayers, because at this point, you are being more of a problem to Yahweh than a solution. Here, I don't. Now, this is what's important. I want to give you, let me just make sure I'm in the right. Okay. Now, what's important to understand is the word tradition, okay, which is in Christians' mind, a messed up word, because, you know, there's a certain little verse that says that Yahweh was against the traditions of the elders. Well, you know, it's not a one size fits all. You have to understand the nuances. Be like me to saying, I don't want to go into it. He wasn't talking about all received traditions. Okay, he wasn't. What he was taking a specific group and correcting them because they had elevated certain really man-made, which is very obvious in the story that we're not talking about the same thing. All right, over this, and the children were not allowed being able to enter into this higher level of understanding because they were being stopped by all this it's low-level interference. You ever tried, you know, on the dial of a radio, and you're trying to get a station and all you get are static, you just can't really dial into something that's like understandable? Well, that's so much of what people are doing in the spiritual world. They're all over YouTube, all over these places, listen to all these people trying to find that frequency, that vibration that's going to speak truth. Okay, now what has to be understood is what tradition really is. Okay, in a biblical way, when you apply it to the Zohar. It is further well known that in addition to the laws which he gave to Moshe engraved upon stone, so we're talking about the 10 Commandments, there's more people. He also gave to him certain verbal, listen, Yah loves verbal communication. He said, let there be light. So let's just stop playing stupid about this whole concept of oral tradition or verbal tradition, okay? It's actually a much more empirical, scientific way to pass down knowledge, but we're not going there today. So this thing jumped ahead on me or something. Okay, it is further well known that in addition to the laws which he gave to Moshe engraved upon stone, he also gave him certain verbal laws, by which through the protracted stay upon the mountain at Sinai, where all doctrines, explanations of mysteries, holy names of Elohim, and the angels were given, and particularly how to apply this knowledge to the best interests of man, were entrusted to him. I mean, that's the level that Moshe was dialoguing with the Father on. Okay, we're not talking about all these doctrines which God pronounced for our good, but which were not generally made known, and which in the course of time was called the Kabbalah, okay, or tradition. Moshe communicated during his life, and this is in the text. If you're intellectually honest and just read it, this is what the conclusion will come to. And I'll give you 3 witnesses that say the same thing. Moshe communicated this during his to Joshua. Number 1, Joshua. Okay, that's a pretty big tip off that this is okay to his successor. Okay, Yeshua handed them over to the elders. There's what's called the 70 elders, and really Moshe and Joshua and the 70 elders. Moshe started transmitting this understanding to them. All right, because these guys are the guardians of the Torah. It is their responsibility. Okay, did you understand something? If you're at this channel, you're a priest of Elohim, and if your job is to learn this stuff. Okay, a priest is someone who officiates for God to the people. So if you want to think you're a teacher, if you have something to impart, you better learn to study at this level. All right, because that is the testimony of our patriarchs of what's going on. So from the elders, it was given to the judges. Remember, right after all this, when they get in the land, we have this whole kind of the judges. And I will tell you something, Deborah was one of the judges, and it talks about how she learned, she achieved a huge spiritual height in Israel because of what is called, she sat under the palm tree of Deborah. All right, they called it the palm tree of Deborah. What is it? Time of the tree of life. The woman knew this. This knowledge has always been disseminated to a man, woman, or child, anyone who engages themselves, applies themselves for this. So it's totally gender non-specific. It is age specific only because there are certain concepts I wouldn't teach this. They used to say till you were 40 years old. Because of the internet, because of where we are today with knowledge proliferating, I think any 18-year-old can start studying this. Okay, and I think you better. But anyways, so it went to the judges, and from the judges, it descended to the prophets. That is the exact progression in our Torah. They say we study the Torah, the 5 books of Moshe, every Shabbat. Then we move into the Haftorah, which is the prophets. Now the prophets entrusted this to the men of the great synagogue. Now this refers to the 120 Sanhedrin at the time of Nehemiah and Ezra, when they came back from Babylon, and they started over, so to speak. Okay. And from there on, you get these men of the great synagogue, and they did a tremendous work for us. We are still indebted to their level of knowledge, wisdom, and understanding, and encasing it in ways in which it would be retained for all generations, because we are at the end of the age, and we still have this information. The prophets entrusted it to the men of the great synagogue, who gave it unto the wise men, and so the Kabbalah was handed down from generation to generation, from mouth to mouth, to the present day. And I'll tell you something about these wise. That's why in Ezra, it talks about the books he wrote. I think he wrote 96 books. This is the whole point. 22 were for the profane, on the Peshat level, for quote unquote the children, those who want the milk. Okay, but the rest of the books were given for the reserve, he says, for the wise. Who are the wise? Those who are following in this tradition, who want to engage with Elohim and help with him fight his wars against Amalek to the end of the age. Okay, so if that's you, you better start jumping right into this stuff. Now, at the time of, this is another quote. These are all quotes from the sages included in the Zohar and the Tikkunei HaZohar, okay? And it says, in the mouth of 2 or 3 witnesses, a matter is established. So we're talking about the tradition that has been going on. At the time of the death of, so Adam, and usually they pass this on. What they do is, you're learning all the time. All right, but there's a point in time where, as a prophet, we see this, as Jacob was. We see this with Abraham. We see this all as they near death. There's some they pass this on. They literally give the baton. That's called the firstborn. Put the the baton in the hand of quote unquote the next firstborn, who is somebody who is a manager in the house of God, who is, again, their responsibility is to retain this for their generation, keep it intact, and to move it on so it'll be there for all generations. Okay, so it went from Adam to Seth. These are the big people, big in our story. It went from Enoch to Noah. He gave it to him. Noah gave it to Shem. Shem gave it to Abraham. And then Abraham gave it to Isaac. Abraham gave it, then Isaac gave it to Jacob. Jacob gave it to Levi and Korath to Amram. Amram gave it to Moses. Moshe gave it to Joshua and to the elders, and the elders to the prophets, and the prophets to the wise men. Okay, what I'm telling you, this is pre-Moshe. This is, and again, Judy, you got to understand, this knowledge has been from Adam. And it has been passed down. That's why when people read the extra biblical books and they start to see this bigger picture, this is what it paints for you. This is why Enoch was one of the pillars, and he is one of the patriarchs. He's one of the 7 that are listed, the great patriarchs. Okay, there's a reason. Okay, because these guys had a level of understanding with Elohim that truly preserve the righteous in so many more ways than we understand. But so it didn't start with Moshe. What I'm trying to say, it started with Adam, and there has been a long line of the firstborns until he called out a nation and instituted a priestly line, who that would be now their responsibility as the firstborn to carry the spiritual knowledge, the true knowledge of God through all the generations. And then Philo, who is a first century contemporary of Yeshua, who I believe was a believer in Yeshua and his message and ministry. But it says on the Essenes, who I believe, I'd love to do a roundtable discussion with someone who wants to give another viewpoint. Let's talk about it. There's no way you can not see Yeshua as an Essene, okay? But it says, for they read the Holy Scriptures and explain the philosophy of their fathers in an allegorical manner regarding the written word, which is just what PaRDeS is, okay? Pretty soon when you get into the spiritual understanding, you got to leave the physical behind, because you just can't take, a real chariot into heaven. So when we talk about Ezekiel's chariot, what is he talking about? Okay, most people can never get there because they're still trying to take a real chariot into the heaven, and it is an allegorical understanding. Okay, so for they read the Holy Scriptures and explain the philosophy of their fathers in an allegorical manner regarding the written words as symbols of hidden truth, which is communicated in obscure. Obscure just means figures. It means like it's encoded. It's sort of like a Morse code. Like, what is the word I'm looking for? There is a certain word for it. Even in it's encrypted. It's encrypted. Okay. Which is what obscure means. So it's encrypted. Okay. So the enemy just can't waltz in and steal your most hidden and deep intel. All right. From our Elohim. Okay, they have also writings of ancient men. I just told you that, from Noah to Enoch to Shem. All right, and who were the founders of their sect, meaning the Essenes. The Essenes are an ancient order. This is the point when you study. These people go all the way back. This is so Enochian, their understanding. Okay, each generation we just keep losing more and more and more and more until now. What's truly the most brilliant light in all the world in a written form that we have is now called the most demonic. Is not that what the end of the age is? They're going to call good evil and evil good. That's exactly where we are. So they also have writings of ancient men who were founders of their sect and left many monuments of the allegorical methods. And these they use as models and imitate their principles. There are over 4,000 rules of interpretation, people. Okay, most Christians don't even know about the first level, which is just PaRDeS, and the Torah is written in these levels. Okay, so don't bump your gums about stuff, Christian, that you don't know anything about, because you've already either made up your mind and have not been Berea and checked to see if those who are telling you all this stuff are actually accurate. And I'll tell you right now, because I have spent the thousands of hours actually reading the documents, and I'm like, how do these people say this stuff? Okay. Now, the importance of the study of the Zohar with the help of the Holy One, blessed be he, The importance of the study of the Zohar and the great benefit to the soul of the person that reads it, even if he doesn't understand what he is saying. This is the power that is in this, that even if you don't get it, okay, it is so much light. It's like such it's like opening the door to a room that's full of light. It's like so bright, you got to close it again, okay? You're going to get blinded by the light. So just read it. Just, you know, you can go online. I could put a link in here to the Zohar, to different chapters, okay? And I will tell you the power, that there are powers, there are testimonies of people who have had, so the Jews have had Zoharic writings, or they've been close to the masters who knew this, and the level of protection. There's a very famous story in World War II when Himmel, I think it is, the general that was going across across North Africa and just decimating the towns. I mean, just like you're going to be German, so either surrender or we're killing you. And most of the time they didn't really want to, you know, and Hitler was just waltzing across Northern Africa until he gets to this little town in Morocco. I believe it's Morocco at the end. You know, if you start closest, like towards Egypt, and go to the Mediterranean and to the ocean on the other side, right? Across from Spain, what I'm trying to say, geographically. The people, everybody in their house had Zoharic writings. If for some reason it was a sect that knew this, they kept these writings, they knew of its importance, they didn't really understand it, but they would read it and they would teach it to their children to just, you know, and some of them, they were all at different levels, but they had a level of respect. When Himmel came to their town and the mayor came and said, I'm sorry, Himmel, we're not going to surrender. Okay, we kind of said, we are not going to surrender. And he said, okay. He just turned around and walked left. That's a miracle, people. That's a miracle of deliverance. And that is the level of miracle and deliverance that we will see if we will obey Elohim and stop dishing this information. And even if you don't understand, even if it's not your calling, even if you're not called to teach it, keep your mouth shut about stuff you don't understand. That's Lashon Hara. Okay? Now, the study of the Sefer HaZohar, which means the book of the Zohar, is more elevated. And I'll just say, okay, so Kabbalah means a tradition, an oral tradition with the written tradition. We just think there's a written tradition. Both of them were handed down. That is the test. That's what Kabbalah means. Okay, the Zohar is the actual text that were written, and it means light. It means radiance. Like I said, it's like opening up a door to a room that is full of supernal light, and it just blinds you. You got to shut the door quick. So the study of the Sefer HaZohar is more elevated than any other study, even if he doesn't know what he is saying, and even if he makes mistakes. And it is a great tikkun for the neshama. The neshama is our highest level of soul. Tikkun means it is a return. Oh, I don't even get into this. I can't even explain what these things mean. I have teachings and it'll come out. And if you apply yourself to knowledge, you will understand these. And it is a great tikkun for the neshama, because even though the Torah is composed of the names of the Holy Blessed One, blessed be he, it is nevertheless clothed in many stories. And when the person reads, he understands these stories and puts his mind on the simple meaning of those stories, which is the Peshat. As we study, let's say, the story of Abraham and his journey from Ur into the promised land, which is an allegorical story of our souls. We all start in Egypt, and hopefully we end up in the promised land, okay? And when the person reads, he understands the stories and puts his mind on the simple meanings, but the Sefer HaZohar has the secrets revealed, and the reader knows they are secrets, and the hidden parts, and oh, this word, hidden, occult, just get over it. Don't let it treat. It just means hidden. It's a mystery. It's a little in there, a little bit deeper. Okay, it's something you were taught in first grade Sunday school. All right, hidden parts of the Torah, only that he does not understand because of the depth of the subject and the shortness of his understanding. All right, so at least being intellectually honest about it is the starting point. Humility is the beginning. All right, so I kind of went through these. And I could go on and on about this, but I did. I'm just, because I'm adamant. I am going to teach PaRDeS to the Ephraimite mind, whoever wants to hear and understand, because this is the best stuff on the planet. There is nothing else. This is what you should be doing. It says to occupy till he comes. I mean, do you really think that's making little crafty projects or something to occupy? I mean, is that really watching Netflix? I mean, come on, people, playing video games. Is that occupying? If we're talking about a holy Elohim who's calling us to holy works, No, it means to get into PaRDeS, get into your Torah, study it. You know, these Kabbalists study, get up at midnight, study all night, work a little bit. This is what these things, you know, because yeah, they had to tend their gardens, you know, because you got to feed yourself a couple things. But then they went right back to Torah study. By mid-morning, they were back at Torah study, had a lunch break where, okay, this is serious stuff. This is what we're supposed to be doing. Okay, no wonder Christianity is weak and sick and full of error. You know, all these things the prophets tell us at the end of the age will happen. Okay, so that's all I had to say. I hope that blessed you at some level. And hey, I just want to say, you know, subscribe to my channel, like it, share it, make a comment. I am totally shadow banned. It's been going on for about 4 years. I mean, on my last video, I had all these comments people were making, and yet only 3 of them got posted. And it's like, must be my limit. I only get 4 comments allowed. So if your comment didn't show up, I apologize. It wasn't me. It's the great beast out there that is trying to completely control everything that we think, because the enemy knows how much power is in our mind. So on that note, shalom and Hag Pesach. That'll date this. And I will see you in the next video.